And it's going to take a coalition of people. That's why our slogan is what? Not me, us. Because it's all of us that are going to do that dismantling. It's not just Bernie. It's not just you. It's not just me. It's not any celebrity. It is literally a coalition of liberators all over the United States that are going to dismantle these systems and build a new system that advocates for everyone, that makes sure the most vulnerable are not marginalized, that they are centered and liberated, that they are celebrated and free. Picture those people in your mind that you're fighting for and say these words with me. Everybody know that how we're going to beat this is people power, right? We're fighting to put people over profit, right? So say these words with me. Y'all got some rhythm? All right, if you don't have it, you better find it, because I'm about to do this. Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people. Okay. Y'all ready? Okay. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling it. Okay. I wasn't sure. I was looking out. I wasn't sure the rhythm was there, but it's there. Okay. Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? This is how the political revolution goes. It's about people power. Are y'all ready? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, 'cause the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Say what? One more time. Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. Thank you. I love that. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about building people power, making sure the most vulnerable are liberated. Make sure y'all take that liberation. Make sure y'all take our liberating ancestors with you as you go out and find people in the grocery store, as you talk to your friends and your family, as you get in your Lyft driver and you talk to them about if they're going to vote. Guess who's going to be the next state on the list? South Carolina. We got Iowa. We got New Hampshire. We got Nevada. First candidate ever in the history, Democratic or Republican, to win all three. And we about to be all four. That's what I'm talking about. Political revolution. Let's go. Make Bernie Sanders, not just Bernie Sanders, but us, the next president of the United States. Let's do it.
Please welcome actor and star of the film Justice League, Ray Fisher.
Oh, yeah! Come on, South Carolina! Oh, man, this microphone is broken. I'm going home. I'll see y'all later. I said, come on, South Carolina! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, voters of all ages, this weekend, South Carolina is proud to present to you a heavyweight battle unlike any we've ever seen before. We've got our champion coming in at 6'0", hailing from Brooklyn, New York, the indomitable, the unflappable, the people's champion, Senator Bernie Sanders. And what a people's champion he is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the fight of our lives. We are in the fight to define a generation. I know you all saw the debate a couple days ago. I know you saw it. There were some people up there throwing punches. They were trying to knock Senator Sanders out, but they couldn't even knock him down. We're not bought, exactly, and that is why you can't knock him down, because he's speaking the truth. He's not just speaking the truth to win our votes. He's speaking the truth to touch our hearts. And there is not a single other candidate up there that can do that. We're in this fight together. Bernie Sanders is our champion. He is the face of our movement, but we are the feet. We are the grassroots. We are the ones pounding on those doors, making the phone calls, and ensuring that everybody knows that a new era in America and in this world is on its way, and they better get ready. I am amazed. I am amazed when I see on TV people saying, we can't do this, we can't do that. You cannot have a minimum wage raised to $15 an hour. You can't have equal pay for equal work. You can, yes, you better believe you can. You better believe you can. You want to know why we believe we can? It's because this is America. We've been taught since the day we were born that we can do anything. So when I hear talk like that, and then I see exactly how this system's been run, I gotta say something smells real funny. Something smells real suspicious. And we've got one fighter in the arena who's willing to call it out for what it is and is willing to give us the opportunity not just to have someone fight for us, but the opportunity to engage and have us fight for ourselves. Now, what Senator Sanders says, and I believe him wholeheartedly, believe me, I do. What he says is that this fight is going to be bigger than South Carolina. This fight is going to be bigger than Super Tuesday. This fight is going to be bigger than even the presidency. This fight, what we're doing right now, the grassroots campaigning, all the time, the sweat, the energy, the love, the compassion, everything that we're bringing to this campaign. This is a fight for the future, all right? This is a fight to ensure that we don't just take the White House this election. This is a fight to inspire people to continue to vote for the midterms and to continue to vote after that and for every election until we take the Senate, until we keep the House, and until we can make this country what it was promised to be. Because we're tired of empty promises. We've seen that before. These promises are real, they are tangible, there are plans to put these things into action. So when people tell you, no, we can't, there was a great president that said, yes, we can. We may not have done, but we could, all right? If I was gonna put this in movie terms, because I'm an actor sometimes, and that's the only way I can make metaphors and analogies for things. 2016 was like Rocky 1. All right? We showed them we had the spirit. We got close. We didn't quite get there for various reasons, which I'm not going to talk about right now, because we all know. But we've been training. Oh, we've been training. From 2016 on up right now to 2020. Because if 2016 was Rocky 1, you better believe 2020 is Rocky 2. And we're coming for the belt. We're coming for the presidency. And we're not doing it for anything else but to ensure that all people are given the ability to live with dignity and pride in this country. We'll be able to hold our heads up high and truly be proud to be American. Not me, us. 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 One more. Not me, us. Thank you. You guys are great.
Please welcome co-founder of the Dream Defenders and national surrogate for the Bernie 2020 campaign, Philip Agnew.
How y'all doing? I said, how you doing? Are you ready to hear from the 46th President of the United States of America? All right, when I think I feel a little big us energy in here. Do I feel a little big us energy in here? So when I say big, you say us, okay? Big! 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 Oh! Pay attention. Pay attention. This evening, I'm proud to be in South Carolina, a proud state that was once red, a state where 200 miles from where we sit, a young Harriet Tubman led 750 enslaved Africans to freedom at the Combahee River. A state where some 150 miles from here, 3 students were killed, and 27 students, including a young Cleveland Sellers, were gunned down on the campus of South Carolina State University in Orangeburg while fighting for freedom. A state where some 80 miles from here, a young Bree Newsom scaled the flagpost and brought down a hateful history with her. This is a state of struggle. This is a state of freedom fighters. This is a state filled with everyday people who do not watch history, but make history. And they are going to do that on Saturday, February 29th. They're going to make history once again. It is a beautiful evening to be at a Not Me, Us rally. As we look around the country, we can see pictures of thousands of people who come from miles around to feel the love, to feel the power, to feel the anticipation, to feel the joy of a people power movement. You can see the pictures in Texas, in California, in North Carolina, in Washington. It truly is a sight to behold. Still, it is precisely in these moments that I believe we are called to think about the millions who cannot make it to a Not Me, Us rally. The millions working 3 jobs to put food on the table. The millions bedridden and imprisoned by bad health. The millions locked behind bars, the thousands in solitary confinement. The millions forced to hide their true selves for fear of panic or maybe death. The millions muzzled by the threat of losing their jobs or their health care. The millions struggling to get through school, to get a job only to spend the rest of their lives paying for school. The millions waking every day to do battle with sadness and the temptations of numbness. The millions who sleep on beaches in Miami and under underpasses in New York and in LA. There are millions all around us who cannot and may never have the chance to attend a Not Me, Us rally, but that doesn't mean that they aren't here. That doesn't mean that we do not see them. That does not mean that they're not turning on the television or going to Twitter or Facebook or TikTok and watching us. That their tears too don't fall on our shoulders. That their struggles don't flow through our policies. That their fire doesn't fuel our movement. They may not be here with us in the audience, but they are here with us. And there are still some that aren't here because they wonder. They wonder about our movement. They wonder if our dreams are too big, if our plans are a little too aggressive or too fast. They wonder if our politics are too strong. They wonder if we're going to win. Well, we have a message for each and every person that is watching on the sidelines. There is room for you. For my brothers on the block, there's room for you. For our sisters and brothers on the fence, there is room for you. There's room for your passion. There's room for your righteous indignation. There is room in this movement for you because we're going to win. For decades, the ideas of this campaign were laughed out of the room. We once could only utter our ideas in small, still whispers amongst friends. Our big ideas were belittled. Our leaders were purged from unions. For decades, our pain was trivialized, mere theater. For decades, we were forced to settle. For decades, our movement was divided. But today, we say enough. Today, we say that there is room for you, and we don't want Medicare for some. We want Medicare for all. We don't want housing for some. We want housing for all. We don't want college for some. We want college for all. We don't want justice for some. We want justice for all. We don't want a Green New Deal for some. We want a Green New Deal for all. Because none of us are free until all of us are free. And there is only one candidate and movement that is prepared to take on the challenges with bold and consistent vision. And I want you to start to rumble your feet. There is only one candidate and movement that has stood with everyday people for decades. There is only one candidate and movement ready to defeat Donald Trump in less than a year. That movement is ours, and that candidate is Senator Bernard Sanders. So join me in welcoming the 46th President of the United States, Bernie Sanders.
Power to the people. 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 Power to the people now. Say we want a revolution. We better get on right away. When you get on your knees, end of the street, saying power to the people. Power to the people.
Thank you. Not only is this a large crowd, you are a loud crowd. What a wonderful turnout. Let me thank all of you for coming out tonight. Let me thank those who have gone before, Dylan Morris, Tabitha Bain. Let me thank Representative Justin Bamberg, Jose LaLuz, Kendrick Sampson, Ray Fisher. And let me give a special thanks to a young man who's been going all over this country, getting people involved in the political process, Philip Agnew. Philip, thank you so much. We got a lot of serious business to go over, so let's get going. And one of the serious things we got to do is make sure that we defeat the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country, Donald Trump. And I'll tell you why we're going to defeat Trump. We're going to defeat Trump because the American people have caught on that we have a president who is a pathological liar. You know, and no matter what your political view may be, when you turn on the TV and you got kids in the room, you don't want to hear a president who makes a fool of himself and lies all the time. No matter what your political views may be, you don't want a president who is running a corrupt administration. Now, here in South Carolina, as well as my own state of Vermont, we got a lot of men and women who have put their lives on the line to defend our country and to defend our Constitution. And it might be a good idea if President Trump once in a while actually read the Constitution and understood that we are a democratic society, not an autocracy. that you don't have a president who attacks the media every day, attacks the judiciary every day, refuses to work with Congress. That's called autocracy, and we will not accept 4 more years of that. And once again, no matter what your political views may be, the American people understand we cannot continue having a president who is trying to divide us up by the color of our skin or where we were born or what our religion might be or what our sexual orientation might be. Presidents understand. I mean, what comes with the job is to understand that whether you're black or white or Latino, Native American, Asian American, gay or straight, we are all Americans. And it gives me no pleasure, it really does not, to tell you what I think you already know, is that we have a president today who is a racist, who is a sexist, who is a homophobe, who is a xenophobe, who is a religious bigot. Now, I've got 4 kids and I've got 7 grandchildren, and we try to raise our grandchildren to be respectful of other people, to be non-discriminatory, to try to love, not hate. We are sick and tired of a president who is a bully, who is vindictive, who is trying to turn us against each other. But not only is Trump a pathological liar, he is a fraud. And the American people see through fraud. You may get fooled once in a while, but after a while, people catch on when somebody is a fraud. When Trump ran for election in 2016, he came to South Carolina, he went all over the country, and he said, you know, I'm going to stand with the working families of this country, and I am going to provide health care to everybody. You remember that? He lied. As president, he tried to throw 32 million people off the health care they have and to do away with the protections for those who have pre-existing conditions. Trump ran for president. He said, you know, I'm going to bring forward a tax plan that's not going to work for rich people like me. It's going to work for the middle class. He lied. His tax plan gives 83% of the benefits over 10 years to the top 1%. When Trump ran for president, he said, I am a different type of Republican. I am not going to cut Medicare. I'm not going to cut Medicaid. I'm not going to cut Social Security. He lied. Look at his budgets, massive cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. Now, Trump tells us almost every day that we're supposed to hate the undocumented in this country. But before he was president, as a private businessman, he loved the undocumented. He loved them because he hired hundreds of them in his resorts so that he could exploit them and pay them low wages. Trump says that he hates outsourcing. He wants to keep good-paying jobs in America. Yet, as a private businessman, he manufactured his products in countries like China, Turkey, Bangladesh, Mexico, and India, hiring people at low wages. In other words, we got a president who says one thing and does something very different, and the American people are catching on to that. Now, we're going to defeat Trump because the American people look around them and they see what's going on in this country and they say, you know what? Something is a little bit wrong when over the last 45 years, the average worker in America has not seen a nickel increase in his or her real inflation accounted for wages. Can you believe that? Huge increase in technology. Every worker in America is much more productive than they were 45 years ago. And workers today not making a nickel more in real inflation accounted for wages. Because almost all of the new wealth and income in this country is going to the top 1%. And whether you live in South Carolina or whether you live in Vermont, you want an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the 1%. Whether you live in South Carolina or Vermont, you think it is obscene that 3 people in America now own more wealth than the bottom half of America. That it is obscene that we give tax breaks to billionaires while 500,000 Americans tonight will be sleeping out on the streets, including 30,000 veterans who put their lives on the line to defend our country. We're going to get our priorities right. No more tax breaks for billionaires. No more corporations like Amazon that last year made $11 billion in profits, didn't pay a nickel in federal income tax. We're going to win this election because we are doing something, and some of the speakers earlier touched on this. We are running a very different type of campaign than my opponents are running that has been run historically. Yup, we have TV ads and we got radio ads and we got all that stuff. But what is most important about what we are doing is we are building an unprecedented, multi-generational, multi-racial grassroots movement. The reason we won the popular vote in Iowa, the reason we won the New Hampshire primary, the reason we won the Nevada caucus is because our volunteers knocked on hundreds and hundreds of thousands of doors. They're out talking to their friends, their neighbors, and their co-workers. We are building a movement that cannot be stopped. It is a justice movement. It is a movement for economic justice, for social justice, for racial justice, for environmental justice. And when millions of people stand up and fight back, nothing on earth can stop us. We're going to win this campaign because we have raised more campaign contributions from more Americans at this point in a campaign than any candidate in the history of the United States of America. We don't need a super PAC. We don't waste time going to millionaires' homes begging for money. This is a campaign, and we say that unapologetically. And I say this as a son of the American working class. This is a campaign of the working class, by the working class, and for the working class. Now, when the establishment sees turnouts like this, you're making them very nervous. And when they see us winning in Iowa and New Hampshire and Nevada, they get even more nervous. So they're trying to come up with reasons as to why people shouldn't vote for us. And one of the reasons that you see in all the papers is Bernie can't beat Trump. Well, I would suggest to those people who think Bernie can't beat Trump, take a look at the last 50 national polls, and you will find on 47 of those 50, Bernie beats Trump. Take a look at the key battleground states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Bernie beats Trump. Now, here is a political truth, and I believe this from the bottom of my heart. The only way we beat Trump is when we have the largest voter turnout in the history of this country. That's what we need. Now, how do you get that large voter turnout? You get that large voter turnout by bringing new people into the political process. And here in South Carolina and across this country, there are millions and millions of working people who work in 2 or 3 jobs, people who can't afford to send their kids to college, people who are paying 50% of their incomes in rent. They're looking around and they say, does anybody in the political establishment give one damn about my life? And they end up saying, you know what? It's all bullshit, if I may use that term. That's what people are saying, and they say, why do I want to vote? I don't want to waste my time. Nobody cares for me. It's not going to change. Why do I want to vote? And then you got young people out there, young people who are struggling with student debt, high cost of housing, worried about climate change and all other things. And they're saying, the system is corrupt. Why do I want to get involved in it? Well, our job and what we will do and are doing is bringing working class people into the political process, bringing young people into the political process, and that's how we're going to win. In my view, Donald Trump cannot be defeated by a traditional, old-fashioned campaign. And I just want to say a word. Joe Biden is a good friend of mine. I've known Joe for many years. He is a decent guy. But I don't believe that Joe can beat Trump when people learn that he voted for the war in Iraq. I don't believe that Joe can beat Trump when people understand he voted for NAFTA and PNTR with China, terrible trade agreements which cost us millions of jobs. I don't believe that he can beat Trump when people learn that he voted for a terrible bankruptcy bill, which is hurting working class families. And I don't believe that he can beat Trump when people learn that he has been on the floor of the House in years past talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. We need a campaign which speaks to the issues that working people care about, and campaign of energy and excitement. That is our campaign. You know, some of you may have seen the debate anyone see that debate on CBS the other night? Well, it was actually more of a food fight, I think, than a debate. And it's unfortunate because we need a real discussion of real issues. And what our campaign is doing is just simply looking at what's going on in America, trying to understand the problems and come up with solutions. Now, I've been all over this country and all over this state, and I talk to people who cannot make it on $8 or $9 an hour. Nobody can. Talk to people who work 2 or 3 jobs, people trying to raise kids on $10 an hour. Can't be done. So what we have got to say is, in the richest country in the history of the world, this is kind of a no-brainer to say that if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be living in poverty. We're going to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. It is a no-brainer to say that in the year 2020, women should not be making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. Equal pay for equal work. And let me say something that I know the governor here doesn't agree with, and many in your legislature don't agree with, but I happen to believe that when millions of workers in this country, including South Carolina, want to join unions, we've got to make it easier to join unions, not harder. When workers become united and they engage in collective bargaining, they can earn decent wages and decent benefits. We are going to double union membership over the next 4 years. This is America. And again, I want you to think outside of the box. Go beyond where Congress goes, go beyond where the media goes. Ask yourself simple questions. How does it happen that in the richest country on earth, our infrastructure, roads, bridges, water systems, wastewater plants, schools are collapsing? We are going to invest in our infrastructure, including building 10 million units of low-income and affordable housing. And when we do that, we put millions of people to work at decent wages. What our campaign is about and what our administration will be about is changing national priorities. And there's no priority I want to change more than elevating what we do about education. Now, again, I want you to take a step back. Every psychologist who's ever studied the issue understands that 0 through 4 are the most important years of intellectual and emotional development. Is that right? And yet, mom goes to work, dad goes to work, and we have a dysfunctional child care system. Well, together, because we love the children and we respect the children and their parents, we will implement universal, high-quality, affordable child care for all. Now, here in South Carolina, it's true all over the country. I think it's worse here in South Carolina. You got some real problems with your public schools. Many schools, especially in the African-American communities, are underfunded, and kids are not getting the quality education they need. It is my strong belief that the quality of education a child receives should not be dependent upon the zip code that he or she lives in. Again, and I want to say this over and over and over again, this is the richest country in the history of the world. No reason why we should not have the best public education system in the world. And for a start, we will triple funding in low-income Title I schools. And I'll tell you what else we are going to do. We are going to show respect to our educators, our teachers. And my hope is that many of the young people here will give serious thought to becoming teachers, because this country desperately needs great teachers. We need more African American teachers. We need more Latino teachers. We need more special education teachers. We need teachers who love the children and take pride in giving them a great education. And that is why, as we change priorities in America, it's my view that no teacher in America should earn less than $60,000 a year. I have talked to educators here in South Carolina who are leaving the profession, great teachers, but they don't want to work 2 or 3 jobs in order to take care of their family. They don't want to take money out of their own pockets to buy school supplies. That is a disgrace. So we should not have to. And what we're going to do is make sure that our educators get the respect and the compensation they need. Because I want the best and the brightest young people to say with pride, hey, I'm going to become a teacher. And when we talk about education, I want every kid in South Carolina and Vermont and America to understand, and I want their parents to understand, that if those kids take school seriously and they have the ability and the desire, they should be able to get a higher education, college or trade school, regardless of the income of their families. And that is why we will make public colleges and universities tuition free. Now, when you think outside of the box, and when you go beyond where Congress goes or the media goes, and you ask simple questions, like, how does it happen that 12 years ago, Congress, against my vote, voted to bail out the crooks on Wall Street who nearly destroyed our economy? How does it happen that 2 years ago, Trump and his friends gave $1 trillion in tax breaks to large corporations and the 1%? Well, if Congress could bail out Wall Street and give tax breaks to billionaires, you know what else Congress could do? It could cancel all student debt in America. And when you think outside of the box and you're asking questions that you don't see asked at debates or on TV, how does it happen that in our great country, we are the only major nation on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right? How does that happen? How does it happen, and I want you all to know this, how does it happen that we are spending twice as much per person on health care as the people of any other country? Twice as much. And yet, virtually all of the other major countries manage to provide health care to all. The function of a rational and humane healthcare system is not to make insurance companies and drug companies rich. It is to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. Now, in America today, we're spending a fortune for health care. The average family in America makes about $60,000 a year. That family is spending $12,000 a year on health care, about 20% of their income. That is a lot of money. We are spending $11,000 for every man, woman, and child. And yet, despite that huge expenditure, 87 million Americans, including many in this arena tonight, are either uninsured or underinsured with high deductibles and copayments. Well over 100 years ago, Teddy Roosevelt talked about universal health care, and presidents since him, including Barack Obama, have talked about universal health care. The time for talk is over. The time is now to take on the healthcare industry that last year made $100 billion in profits, and tell them that we are, whether they like it or not, going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. And what Medicare for all means is not a radical idea. We're simply doing what virtually every other major country on earth does. I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border in Burlington, Vermont. In Canada, you go to any doctor you want. You don't take out your wallet. In Canada, if you end up in the hospital for a month, do you know what the bill you get when you leave? Zero. And yet they manage to do all of that, spending 50% less than we do per capita. So right now, despite spending $11,000 and the cost is zooming upwards, every man, woman, and child, we got 87 million people uninsured or underinsured. 30,000 die each year. That's a conservative estimate. People who have no insurance, who get sick, what do you think they do? They can't go to the doctor. And by the time they get into a doctor's office, it may be too late and their situation is terminal. At least 30,000 a year die. And I'll tell you something else. We are spending, as all of you know, by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. You all know that? Last year, I took a group of folks from Detroit, Michigan to Windsor, Ontario. They were diabetics. They use insulin. We bought the same exact insulin product in Canada for 1/10 the price that we pay here in the United States. You got a pharmaceutical industry that is not only greedy, it is corrupt. It is engaging in collusion and price fixing. We are going to take them on. America will no longer pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. And I want you all to know, because you're going to see a lot of disinformation on TV about Medicare for all. What does it mean? It means there are no more premiums for you or your employer. Premiums gone. No more co-payments. You don't have to come up with $50 or $100 when you walk into the doctor's office. Co-payments gone. We're going to end the insane concept of a deductible. Gone. No more deductibles. No more out-of-pocket expenses. And because we're going to lower prescription drug prices in this country, nobody will pay more than $200 a year for prescription drugs. And at the end of the day, because we're going to save many hundreds of billions of dollars on administration, because now we got to administer thousands of separate plans. When you do that, when you end the profiteering of the drug companies and the insurance companies, the cost of healthcare for the average working family will go significantly down. And when we talk about changes that this country needs, it is absolutely imperative that we understand that Donald Trump is deadly wrong when he thinks that climate change is a hoax. So let me make a promise to you, and that is our administration believes in science. And what the scientists are telling us is that climate change is an existential threat to this country and the entire planet. And what the scientists are telling us is the situation is worse than they had previously thought. Polar ice caps are melting at a faster rate. Oceans are warming. Sea level is rising. If we do not get our act together, you're going to see great American cities like Miami, like Charleston, like Myrtle Beach, like New Orleans, like New York City by the end of the century being partially or maybe even completely underwater. We have a moral responsibility to make sure that the planet we leave our kids and future generations is a planet that is healthy and is habitable. And that is why I have introduced the most comprehensive climate change proposal ever introduced by a candidate for federal office. It is based on the principles of the Green New Deal. And it will create up to 20 million good-paying jobs as we transition our economy and our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. The time is long overdue for us to tell the fossil fuel industry that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. But climate change, as you all know, you know it, Donald Trump does not know it. It is not just an American issue, it's a global issue. We can't do it alone. And that's why, as president, I will be reaching out and speaking to the people in China, in Russia, India, Pakistan, countries all over the world, and make the case that maybe, just maybe, instead of spending $1.8 trillion every year on weapons of destruction designed to kill each other, maybe we should pool our resources and fight our common enemy, which is climate change. And when we talk about issues facing the American people, the time is long overdue for us to deal with a broken and racist criminal justice system. We do not want to live in a country which has more people in jail than any other country on earth. Over 2 million people in jail, disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American. And that is why we are going to invest in our young people, in jobs and education, not more jails and incarceration. It costs more money to keep somebody here in jail than to send them to the University of South Carolina. I would rather send them to the university than keep them in jail. And when we talk about criminal justice reform, we're going to end private prisons and detention centers in America. And we're going to end the so-called war on drugs. And we're going to legalize marijuana in every state in this country. Let me ask you all a question. How many people here know of somebody who was arrested for possession of marijuana? Okay. We are going to expunge the records of those arrested for possession of marijuana. And when we talk about broken systems, we're going to bring major reform to a very broken and racist immigration system. On day one, we're going to restore the legal status for the 1.8 million young people eligible for DACA. Under our administration, federal agents will not be snatching babies from the arms of their mothers. And we will do what should have been done decades ago, and that is in a bipartisan way, pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship for the undocumented. We are aware that in South Carolina and all over this country, communities have suffered mass slaughter through guns. And the American people are increasingly horrified by what we see when we turn on the television, whether it's in Charleston, whether it's in California, wherever it may be. So here is my promise to you. Our gun safety policy will be determined by the American people, not the NRA. Donald Trump and the Republican leadership in Congress are intimidated by the NRA. I will not be intimidated by the NRA. We will pass expanded and universal background checks. People who have violent past, including domestic violence, should not own a gun. We're going to end the gun show loophole. And we're going to do what I have believed we should have done 30 years ago, and that is end the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. Now, as a United States Senator, I hear a lot of speeches on the floor of the Senate from conservative Republicans, and their mantra is they believe in small government, they believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people. And I say to those hypocrites that if you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who have a right to control their own bodies, not the government. So my promise to you is I will never nominate anybody to the U.S. Supreme Court or to the federal bench who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade. We will codify, put into law, Roe v. Wade. Now, Trump and his friends want to cut funding for Planned Parenthood. Well, I got bad news for them. We're going to expand funding for Planned Parenthood. Now, on Saturday, there is going to be a very, very important primary here in South Carolina. And I'm here tonight to ask for your support. I'm here tonight to ask you to bring out your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers so that we can have the largest voter turnout in the history of the South Carolina primary. Because if we can win here in South Carolina, we've come a long way. When we first started this campaign, we were about 30 points behind. We're closing that gap every day. And if we can win here in South Carolina, I think we're going to do well on Super Tuesday all across this country. I think we're going to win the Democratic nomination. And I think we're going to defeat Donald Trump. But what this campaign is about What this campaign is about, and you heard it all night long from previous speakers, it's about us, not me. And what that means is that no president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can do it all alone. Is that real change in this country never takes place from the top on down, always from the bottom on up. And where we are right now in this moment in history is the need for millions of working people to look around them and to say, why is it that so many of our people are earning starvation wages? Every worker in America is entitled to a living wage. Why is it that so many of our young people can't afford to go to college or are leaving college deeply in debt? Why is it that we are the only major country on earth not to provide health care to all or paid family medical leave to all? Why is it that instead of leading the world in combating climate change, we got a president who actually denies the reality of climate change? Why is it that we have more people in jail than any other country and an immigration system that is totally broken? Why is it that we continue to see mass shootings in this country? And why is it that there is a continued political attack against women's right to control their own body? Why is that? And the answer is that we have a government today that does not represent the needs of ordinary Americans. It is an economy and a government dominated by the billionaire class whose greed is causing significant problems for working people. What this campaign is about is bringing our people together, Black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American, gay and straight, to say, finally, we need an economy, we need a government, we need an energy system that works for all of us, not just wealthy campaign contributors. So on Saturday, let's have the largest voter turnout in South Carolina history. Let's win here in South Carolina. Let's win the Democratic nomination. Let's defeat Trump. Let's transform this country. Let's go forward together. Thank you all very much.